Hello everyone, welcome to the intro to SAP HANA. In this video, we'll be covering about what is SAP HANA, what is in-memory computing, and what are the problems SAP HANA can fix. So let's get into the details of it. Basically, SAP HANA is a technology that allows the processing of massive quantity of real-time data in the memory of the server to provide immediate result from analysis and transactions. The acronym HANA means High Performance Analytic Appliance. So, as the name indicates, high performance and everything being in memory, it increases the performance drastically. Basically, this particular software is written 90% in C++, and business users of all levels are empowered to conduct immediate ad hoc data analysis and transaction processing using massive amounts of real-time data for expanded business insight. Basically, it frees up your IT resources and lowers the cost of operation. This is one of the key benefits. Especially historic database systems were designed to perform well on computer systems with limited RAM. This had the effect that slow disk I/O was the main bottleneck in data throughput. So how HANA is going to address this particular issue? So HANA is a combination of hardware and software innovations. Hardware innovation, it's basically the multi-core architecture. It can do massive parallel scaling with many blades. So one blade, say for $50,000, is one enterprise class server. We can use 64-bit address space, that is 2 TB in current server, and 100 Gbps data throughput. So dramatic decline in price performance. And software innovation, basically here we can use row and column store. So this is one key benefit of SAP HANA as compared to the legacy databases, which are mainly row store or either column store, but this is a combination of row and column store. Here the data being in column store, it can give drastic compression benefits, and we can do a partitioning over here as everything is there in memory, so we don't need any aggregation, and insert only happens on delta changes which is happening. So this is basically what SAP HANA is. So it's a combination of hardware and software appliance. Appliance means basically the way SAP is positioning this appliance is it's a flexible data source agnostic that enables customer to analyze large volumes of SAP ERP data in real time, avoiding the need to materialize transformation. So everything comes bundled. We'll see that how the bundling is done by SAP HANA, how they are delivering this particular appliance, and how they are installing the softwares. Okay, second is about software and hardware. SAP HANA appliance software is a hardware and software combination that integrates number of SAP components, including SAP HANA database, SAP landscape transformation replication server, SAP HANA director extractor connection, and Sybase replication technology. Okay, next let's see what is in-memory database. What is in-memory computing? SAP HANA database is a hybrid in-memory database that combines row-based, column-based, and object-based database technology. It is basically optimized to exploit the parallel processing capabilities of modern multi-core CPU architectures. With this architecture, SAP applications can benefit from current hardware technologies. Let's get into the next slide where we are talking about why in-memory computing. Why do we need in-memory computing? What is the need of computing in memory? Why the disk cannot fix our issues? We have the data residing in disk. Why we want to put the entire data in memory? Okay, so basically all customers wants to see their current business data immediately in real time. That is, nobody wants to wait until data is uploaded. So everyone wants to see the results immediately. So if we are looking at immediate result, the disk being extremely slow with respect to CPU and memory, we are putting the data directly into the memory itself. So that is one key benefit, that why we want to put everything in memory, why we want to compute everything in memory. Okay, secondly is, with the latest hardware and latest database technology already now supporting real-time reporting on massive amount of data, given that the CPU speed has increased by around 150 times, memory has increased by 250 times, the addressable memory is also increased by 250 times, and the memory addresses has drastically increased, the network speed has increased drastically, but the key bottleneck is still the data transfer through disk, which is increased to 25 times, which is not good enough, it is still extremely slow. So that is one key reason why people wants to put everything in memory. So memory reads are extremely fast, say it's approximately 1 million times faster than disk. As a conventional database, the disk read can take say about 5 milliseconds, but the same thing, the in-memory database, the disk read can happen in 5 nanoseconds, which is a great increase in performance. So on the extreme left side, the figure showing that SAP HANA, it provides speed, it provides flexibility, it provides scalability. Basically, this particular solution is highly scalable, given that this uses the parallelism mechanism. So all the multiple cores which is provided, it can use all the cores which is available, and the index server, the name server, which can manage which resource is going into which particular core, and it can keep track of what is being processed by which particular core. So these are the three key points for SAP HANA's in-memory computing. First is speed, that is it provides real time. Its scalability, its everything is can be scaled to a very high number, and flexibility, it provides flexible solutions. Okay, so let's see the problems which is addressed by SAP HANA. So today's, for IT, the main challenge is the massive data growth. So Gartner has reported that data is going drastically. It is grown to such a value that it will be very difficult to manage, and we need to find out ways to minimize the data, to compress the data, to store the data and analyze it faster, so that we give enough performance what business users are expecting. Second thing is flexibility is required. Okay, third key thing is why wait, why IT cannot provide it in real time. So that is one key question being asked by business always, that why we have to wait for hours and hours to get the reports, why we cannot get everything real time. If suppose we are running out of any parameter, so it should provide the real time data immediately, it should provide the alert that we are running out of this particular component. So basically the main challenge is, using groundbreaking in-memory hardware and software, we can manage data at massive scale, analyze at amazing speed, and give the business not only instant access to real-time transactional information and analyze, but also more flexibility. That is, flexibility to analyze new types of data in different ways. So we can have new ways of creating data warehouse, new ways of creating data marts, and new applications which was not there previously is possible now. Thank you for listening to this intro. Goodbye. Hi, let's get to the next topic for this training, which is on SAP HANA System Administration. So in this topic, I'm going to cover about the appliance methodology. Basically, I'll be talking about the installation and updates, that is how we are going to install and update the appliance. Okay, so the next thing is I'll be talking about the persistence layer in SAP HANA, that is how the in-memory databases is kept in the hard drives. Okay, then I'll be talking about the backup and recovery process, basically the system copy stuff. Okay, next we'll get into the high availability within SAP HANA, that is how we can scale this particular or design this particular solution to provide the high availability. Okay, then we look into the disaster recovery and disaster tolerance. That is how we can create our HANA architecture so that we have the flexibility of ensuring that even there, if there is a disaster, we have the components up and running which can be immediately kicked off. Okay, then we look into ways in how we can do the monitoring and administration in SAP HANA, how we can integrate it with Solution Manager, okay, how we can do the administration from HANA Studio. After that, we'll get into the security and auditing. So basically, we'll look into ways of how we can design our uh, security for SAP HANA and how we can audit the system which is up and running. Okay, so basically, let's get into our first topic, which is on appliance. So let me talk about how the appliance installation and uh, delivery happens. So basically, in a normal scenario, what happens is that uh, whenever SAP or any hardware vendor delivers an appliance, we assume everything will be there bundled upfront and we don't have to do anything after that. Say for example, if it is anything like Cisco's appliance or any other appliance or which just plug it and it will keep running, we don't have to do anything. But this is a little bit different appliance. So how this works is uh, we'll get into the details of that. Basically what happens is that after the appliance hardware and OS assembly is done, the SAP software installation is done in factory as a pre-install. The factory smoke test is done. After that, it is sent or delivered to the customer's site. Okay, then the on-site assembly happens for that. Then technical configuration is done. On-site smoke test is done. That is the time the system is handed over to the customer, and he in turn can set up the replication, can do its business configuration, and can run the scenarios from there. So here we can see it's happening in three different phases. One is happening in the factory pre-installation for hardware, OS, and SAP software. Second thing is happening on-site assembly at the customer's data center, customer's location. And third step is where you are doing a replication or connectivity to data sources or systems and to different clients. So these are the three steps for HANA installation. Okay, from the architecture perspective or from the installation perspective, once your HANA appliance is installed, we need to figure it out how we can update the system to its latest patch level, how we can apply the patches in the systems, how we can upgrade the appliance. Okay, so basically we need to connect this to a maintenance optimizer so that it can generate the stack level for that. It can find out what all the software need to be applied so that we can do the upgrade of this. And there is a tool called SUM, that is Software Update Manager. So this is specific for SAP HANA. We use this tool for doing any other updates as well, but there is a specific one for SAP HANA as well. So we use this tool to carry out any patch activity or any update activity on SAP HANA. So that is about the installation and update in SAP HANA. Okay, so let's get into the next activity here, which is about the persistence layer in SAP HANA. So basically what happens is that persistence is, it's like you have your data in memory, and for the persistence layer, whatever you have in memory, you have it saved in the data volumes. Basically there are regular automatic save points, and any information changes that is taking place is logged in the log volume. So you have your non-persistence layer, which is memory. The reason we call that as a non-persistence layer is when we shut down the system, there is nothing in the memory. Okay, so everything goes away from the memory, it gets wiped off. Okay, so all the data, the entire database is stored at the hard disk level, at the disk level. So you have your entire database preserved and stored in the data disks. And the way the changes happens is that whenever any changes happens synchronously, it is returned to the log volume. Okay, and there are regular save points using which we can update the data volumes. Okay, save points by default is every 5 minutes, but it is customizable. Okay, so basically based on this, in the in-memory you have your index server, you have your name server, you have your statistic server, you have your preprocessor. So these are the different components which is there as part of the database. Okay, so we can scale this environment. What we can do, how we can scale it is we can have, say, index server running in one, name server is another, and statistics is. So basically we can come up with a strategy to segregate these different servers so that we can scale your solution. Okay, so based on this you can have a distributed HANA database even on a single host with shared nothing concept as well. Okay, so persistence. In persistence we'll see in case if there is a crash happens, how we can do a recovery. In case if suppose database crashes, how do we do a recovery, and how the persistence layers plays a role in the recovery. So all this about the recovery part, about how to perform a recovery, I have a special training classes, we have online training classes, we have online training videos where we cover in detail, in depth, all the programs. We have all the demos there. We will be showing how you can go to that particular website and can subscribe and can purchase this particular course, which has end-to-end components of SAP HANA, which can give you in-depth knowledge and show you screen by screen how the different activities can be performed in SAP HANA. In case if you are interested, you can go to this particular site called http://udemy.com/sap-hana. So basically it is http://udemy.com/sap-hana. So this website has in-depth screenshots, in-depth knowledge of different technical features on how and what and how we can perform different activities within SAP HANA. Okay, there is a coupon course as well for 25%. You can take it down if you want. It is SAP HANA course, that is the name of the coupon course. Okay, so let's get into the next topic, which is backup and recovery. Okay, so backup, basically you have your files there and you can take a backup of those files using SAP HANA Studio, using your DBA cockpit, using SQL commands. You can schedule the backup, you can use your DBA cockpit or scheduling calendar in SAP. Okay, and depending on the space requirement, you can size your HANA accordingly. Okay, and you can just make sure that you rotate this or transfer this into some other location so that you are not eating up the space in the HANA system. Okay, advantages for backup with HANA kernel involvement. Okay, and what all the different external tools which are registered to work with SAP HANA. So basically we take a backup of your name server, we take a backup of our index server, statistics servers, and this is stored in the staging area. Okay, then we take a separate backup for the configuration as well. So using HANA Studio, it's basically using the graphical tool, graphical utility. We can take the backup, we can perform the recovery. So everything, in case if you don't have in-depth knowledge of working in a Linux environment, everything is performed from a GUI based interface. Okay, so that is about backup and recovery. Let's get into the next topic for this, which is high availability. Okay, how do we design a solution for high availability? From the business continuity perspective, you can have say high availability per data center, or you can do disaster tolerance between data centers. You can set up a scale out cluster. Okay, so high availability. Say for example, you have a shared storage for say 5 or 6 servers, and you have one standby server, and one of the server crashes or goes out of operation. The standby server can take over. So this is one of the scenario. Okay, so let's come back to our architecture that we discussed. So just to give you that we are covering all the components in our scaling solution. We have name servers, which is providing or maintaining landscape information. We have index server, which holds data and execution of all operations. So basically it executes all operations. Then we have statistics server for performance collection. We have preprocessor for text analysis. Okay, so that is about the components perspective. So when we are doing our scaling, when we are scaling into different systems, different appliances, what we do is we can have say name server, index server, or static server in one. We can have in the next host, we can have say our name server and index server. Another server we have name server, index server. Standby server we have name server, index server. So anything, basically all systems can run in parallel, and in case if one of them crashes, the standby server can take over. Okay, so different scenarios are there. Different hardware vendors have come up with different way of performing high availability. Say for example, IBM, they have come up with GPFS file system. So you don't need a shared disk for performing high availability. It's basically they are keeping track of their via GPFS solution. They are keeping track of where what information is stored. Okay, so but there are vendors like HP where you need a shared storage, where uh, the shared storage is used, which keeps track of what is happening in different servers. Okay, then basically you can have something called active and standby. That is, you have one server active, another server standby, and you can have a shared storage. So depending on the requirement, basically depending on can you afford to keep one server down, in that case you can have say active or standby. If you are looking for speed as well in the normal time, and during disaster time you can live with lesser speed, you can have say active scenarios. Okay, then let's get into things like disaster tolerance, where storage plays a much bigger role. Okay, basically you can use different storage technologies to set up your warm standby, to set up your hot standby, to make sure that how the log replication takes place. Okay, so that is about the disaster tolerance. That is, there are different options available, different hardware vendors providing storage mirroring, or we can leverage the existing solution which is in place, so that we can, instead of coming up with something new, we can try to leverage which is existing in the client's place. Okay, so that is about the disaster tolerance. Let's get into the next important topic, is about the monitoring and administration. So for monitoring, there are three different components. We can monitor it from SAP HANA Studio, from Solution Manager, from SAP's LVM. LVM basically it's a landscape and virtualization manager. So HANA Studio, you can perform your administration and monitoring. Basically it enables customer to make sure that their HANA system runs as expected and provides possibilities to analyze problems. Okay, it also houses the SAP modeler and the user management for SAP HANA database. Solution Manager can be used for basic administration and holistic monitoring of HANA systems within existing SAP landscapes. It is used by SAP support for early broken analysis as backbone for CTS plus transport integration. So you can use C++ to move transport from your dev HANA system to your quality to your production, depending on how you have defined your landscape. Okay, there is one more thing is that you can have multiple SIDs in the current version, which is HANA SPS 5. Basically, it is HANA 1.0 Service Pack 5, which has the capability to create multiple SIDs. Okay, so using multiple SIDs, you can create multiple SIDs. Basically, you can create say development environment, one SID for development environment, one SID for your quality environment in the same HANA appliance. And for production, you can keep a separate HANA instance. Okay, then there is a tool called Landscape and Virtualization Manager. You can do basic operations of larger, more complex SAP landscape like stop, start, dependency analyzing, all that from this particular tool. Okay, so what we have is something called host agent, which is there as part of HANA appliance delivery, which is bundled together with HANA appliance, which can provide the information about the monitoring, about the performance, about the alerts into solution manager. Okay, then let's get into the comparison. Say there is one more component that I want to touch base is the DBA cockpit. Basically, like you have DB02 or DBA cockpit transaction in the normal SAP environment, we can use the same transaction if something is integrated with uh, in case if we are using solution manager and we are integrating our HANA with solution manager, we can use DBA cockpit as well. Okay, so that's pretty much I wanted to touch base in this, but for more details, as I mentioned, you can go to this website called http://udemy.com/sap-hana. Basically, the website name is http://udemy.com/sap-hana. Okay, let's get into the next topic, which is on security and auditing. Okay, in security and auditing, SAP HANA has inbuilt security. We can use that to define our security. Plus, we can integrate it with authentication provider for with SSO, and we can link it with SAP ML as well, SAML as well. Basically, how we are doing an authentication, how we are doing an authorization and user management, how we are doing audit logging, how we can make sure that the communication is taking place in a secure and SSL encryption format. So in authentication, basically there are different things we can access using username, password, or we can use or integrate it with Kerberos. Okay, we can use our password policy mechanism. Okay, then authorization and user management, basically the data stored within the SAP HANA database, that is user and role concept, or we can integrate it with IDM as well. Okay, then audit logging, we can enable the loggings for different audit access. Okay, so that is about the SAP HANA security. Okay, so basically this is what actually I wanted to cover in this particular training session. Thanks for joining, and we'll get into the next topic pretty soon. Hi, good morning everyone. Let's get started with our next training topic, which is on SAP's system landscape and architectural components. Okay, in this particular slide here, you can see there are different components. One is key component is SAP HANA appliance. So basically, SAP is calling this particular box as an appliance is because in this box they are bundling all these components. That is, you have SAP HANA database, you have SAP HANA client, you have HANA Studio, you have load controller, you have host agent, you have Sybase application server. So basically all these are bundled with the operating system as SUSE Linux SLES service pack 1, and here basically this is for SAP HANA's service pack 5. The version is 1.0 for SAP HANA. So this is the core component which we call it as HANA appliance. This is provided by the different partners of SAP. Basically those partners include the software partner, which is SUSE Linux is for the operating system. Then you have partners like hardware partners, which include partners like HP, IBM, you have Hitachi, you have Dell, you have these are basically the key partners from the hardware and the uh, software perspective. Then you have partners like Intel. So these are basically the key partners in making this particular appliance, that is SAP HANA appliance. Okay, in this particular appliance here you can see on the extreme left side there are components called LT system, which is basically used for the replication, that is for the real-time replication. SAP is positioning this particular component for doing real-time replication. Basically you can connect your systems to SLT system, which in turn can get connected to SAP HANA, and your real-time data replication can happen using SLT. What type of data you can replicate? You can replicate any type of data. Basically that data could be coming out of your SAP system, which could be say ECC or CRM, or could be any of the SAP system basically. Then it could be coming out from non-SAP system as well. It can fetch the data from any type of database like from Oracle or from any different RDBMS. So basically it can have two types of connectors. One is the connectivity from your SLT system to SAP system, which is using an RFC connection. Then secondly, the connectivity from third party or any other database, any other RDBMS database to SLT system using a database connection. Okay, so that is about the real-time replication. Then you have something called data sources. SAP's data sources, basically if you see the data sources, if you see this particular product, this product is used by SAP for doing all the replication from tons of different data sources. It could be SAP, it could be structured, it could be unstructured, and the data replication happens in batches. Basically SAP is not positioning this product for real-time replication. Okay, so that is about the data sources. Okay, then on the right side you can see the components like your reporting tools. In the reporting tool you have Business Object Explorer. You could have components like MS Excel, and you could have components like your BI platform 4.0. So it's the entire product suite of BI platform. It could be your Explorer, it could be your uh, analytics office, it could be Crystal Report. So any of these products, it could be your visual intelligence as well. So that is about the different components on the right side. Then to manage and monitor this particular product, you have things like HANA Studio is there, you have things like HANA client installed in the HANA Studio, you have MS Excel, you have data service designer, you have various components from BI product suite. Okay, so that is about some of the components from SAP systems landscape. So that is about the landscape components. Okay, so we have seen things like real-time replication, which could be from DBMS, could be from ABAP, IDOCS, BAPI, could be extractors, could be custom extract. Okay, then we have seen data services, which is doing replication from, could be from SAP ERP system, could be from BW, from Excel, from JD Edward, flat file, Oracle apps, could be SQL Server, Sybase. So basically any of these can be connected via the data integrator, and SAP is bundling the data integrator license with HANA appliance. Especially if you take an enterprise license, you will get the data integrator free. So you have an option to use either data integrator to fetch the data from various data sources, that, or you can use SLT, that is SAP's landscape transformation tool, as well for doing real-time replication. So these two products are bundled for free with the enterprise suite of SAP HANA. Okay, so with the HANA Enterprise, these components are bundled, and that product we call it as a sidecar HANA basically, because it can be used as a separate product. So that is one product of SAP HANA. Okay, you can use HANA as a database as well. So some of the examples are BW on HANA. Basically, BW is using a HANA database. So that is another type of SAP HANA. You are using HANA as a database, and the application which is running on this database is BW. You can have BPC on HANA. Basically, the BPC application is sitting on top of BW, so that is BPC on HANA. Okay, then you have Business Suite on HANA. So for Business Suite on HANA, it's like you can run your ECC applications, you can run your CRM application, you can have uh, multiple other SAP based applications, but we need to have them running separately on HANA database. So these are multiple applications which have been tested to run successfully on SAP HANA. So this is another flavor of using SAP HANA. Then there is a third variant basically for small medium size industries, which is HANA Edge. So HANA Edge is actually a product which SAP is shipping for small and medium sized industries, where there is a limitation on the size of database, where there is a limitation on number of users, where there is a limitation on the number of licenses, where there is a limitation on scalability, and there are a couple of other limitations. Basically, this is just to meet the demand for the small and medium size industries. Okay, so that is about the different products and the landscape components of SAP. Okay, so next is, let's get into the architectural components. Say for example, now we have SAP HANA appliance. So in HANA appliance, in HANA database especially, there are key servers which is providing the functionality. Okay, so the index server, you can see it contains the actual data and the engines for processing the data. It also coordinates and uses all the other servers. Okay, another key component is the name server. Basically, it holds the information about the SAP HANA's database topology. This is used in a distributed system, especially when you are doing scaling or doing in HA, or so it keeps track of who is doing what. Okay, so basically it keeps track, it knows where the components are running and which data is located on which server. Okay, then next thing is the statistics server. Statistics server, it collects the information about the status, about the performance, about the resource consumption from all other server components. From the SAP HANA Studio, we can access the statistics server to get the status for various alert monitors. Okay, the next component is the preprocessor server. Basically, it is used for analyzing, that is analyzing text data and extracting the information on which the text search capabilities are based. Okay, then lastly is the access engine. It's an optional component Basically, using Access Engine, clients can connect to SAP HANA database to fetch data via HTTP. One of an example of Access Engine application is your DXE connection. Basically, you can basically put your data, you can transfer your BW, the embedded BW data into SAP HANA directly, not going via your BW server, but directly from your SAP ECC system. You can use your embedded BW connections and you can transfer them into SAP HANA directly, thereby leveraging your business model, leveraging your business content, whatever is defined, whatever is created, and the information for which is available. Okay, so that is about the Access Engine. Then let's see this particular component, which is SAP HANA's index server architecture in detail. Okay, in this, the first component, the main component is the connection and session management, which is basically responsible for creating and managing connections session and connections for the database client. So once a connection is established, clients can communicate with SAP HANA database using SQL statements. For each session, a set of parameters are maintained like auto commit, current transaction ISO level, etc. Users are authenticated either by the SAP HANA database itself or via different authentication mechanism, could be using LDAP or could be using an external third-party provider. Okay, so that is one key functionality, that is connection and session management at the top. Okay, then is the request processing and execution control. So the client's requests are analyzed and executed by the set of components summarized as request processing and execution control. Basically, the request parser analyzes the client request and dispatches it to the respective component. The execution layer acts as the controller that invokes the different engines and routes intermediate result to the next execution step. Okay, so about the different parsers, you have the SQL parser, which checks the syntax and semantics of the SQL statement. You have MDX parser, which is basically a language for querying and manipulating the multidimensional data storage in OLAP Cube. You have planning engine that allows financial planning applications to execute basic planning operations in the database layer. Okay, then there is a calc engine basically, which is has the features like a SQL script and planning operations. Okay, then you can execute your calculation models over here. Okay, the next component is the transaction manager. Okay, so in HANA database, each SQL statement is processed in the context of a transaction. New sessions are implicitly assigned to new transaction. So this transaction manager, what it does is it coordinates database transactions, controls transaction isolation, and keeps track of running and closed transactions. Okay, when a transaction is committed or rolled back, the transaction manager informs the involved engine about this event so that they can execute necessary action. Okay, then next component is your metadata manager. Okay, the SAP HANA database metadata comprises of various objects such as definition of relational tables, columns, views, indexes, definition of SQL script functions, and object stores metadata. Metadata of all these types is stored in one common catalog for all SAP HANA data stores. Okay, then is authorization manager, where you have things like analytic privileges and all. Then you have database optimizer, which gets the logical execution plan for the SQL parser. Okay, then you have database executor, and we have the row store and the column stores. Okay, then we have the persistent layer, given that the entire database is in memory and just to make sure that we have the persistency. So you have the persistent layer to achieve this goal. Basically all the data, whatever is in the memory, is stored in the disk as well. Okay, so that is about the different architectural components. So we have seen index server, we have seen name server, then preprocessor, statistic server, and the access engine server. So that is about the HANA's architectural component overview. Okay, so that's what actually I wanted to cover in this particular training session. Thanks for joining and have a nice day. Bye bye. Hello everyone, let's get started with our next tutorial. In this tutorial I'll be giving an overview of HANA Studio. What is an HANA Studio? Basically HANA Studio is a tool from where you can do the modeling on HANA database. So let me show you how HANA Studio looks like. So this is an icon for the HANA Studio. Let's double click on this HANA Studio. So this is basically an interface through which we interact with the HANA database. On the extreme left side you will see the navigator tab, where the different systems, you can manage multiple HANA systems from this particular HANA Studio. So each, say HN1 you can see here, HN2 is here, HN3 is here. These are the HANA databases to which we are connecting and performing modeling there. Okay, on the right side you can see different perspectives are available. So let me show you what all perspectives are available. And so to start with, let me close all the perspective that is there. If you click on open perspective, go to the window, click on open perspective, click on other. Okay, so this will show you the different perspectives which are available in HANA Studio. So let me start with the first one. First one is administration console. So what it is used for and how it looks like, let me show you that. So let's double click that, and you can click on any of the HANA servers and just double click on that particular HANA system. On the right side you have the admin interface. So admin interface is basically used for managing the resources on the system, on the HANA database, which is used for identifying any performance issues, any bottlenecks, any different usage for the database, for the memory, for the CPU. So that's what is HANA Studio's admin interface is used for. Let me go to the next perspective. So let's again click on window, click on open perspective, and click on other. So let's go to the next most important perspective, which is the modeler. All the modeling is done here. Okay, so let me double click on the modeler perspective, and the canvas changes to this particular interface where you have different activities you can perform on this particular modeler. The key activities is creating different HANA models of different types, like you can create your attribute views to create the different dimension tables. You can create analytic views. Basically you can, in analytic views you can create a star schema, connect different dimension table and the facts table. Then you can create more complex things like calculations view, where you can perform different calculations, and lastly on the procedures you can have complicated stored procedures defined and created there. Okay, so that is on the different modeling aspect of it. Let's see what else is available here. Okay, what we can do is we can, at the center you can see the data. So data, there are three different things that is available. One is the SQL editor. So in SQL editor you can run the SQL command. So this is basically the HANA SQL editor which is there. So let me show you how this particular HANA SQL editor is. Okay, so here you can see this is a SQL editor where you can perform SQL related activities. Okay, so let's go to the next tab, which is the data provisioning tab. Here at the center you can see this is the data provisioning tab. So data provisioning tab is basically used for connecting different interfaces. So probably let's try to connect to one of the system there, and let's change the system. Say let me change to this HN2, and let's click on data provisioning tab. So here what we do is, here basically we have the source systems. It could be an ECC system, it could be any of the SAP or non-SAP system which is sending the data to the target schema in HANA database, and here we can have the different schemas created and different replication can be configured here. So that is on the data provisioning aspect of it. Then next is the generated time data. So here you can have load data into the different tables, that is from this time to this time we can load the data using this particular interface. Okay, next thing is on the setup. On the left side in the modeler window you can see manage preferences. So this is where you define your general preferences. So how this particular modeler or the HANA Studio interface looks like, all this can be defined from here. So you have general views where you can control your fonts and everything. You have admin views where you can define, say, the catalog size, how much data need to be fetched, how many rows to be fetched at one time, and you can create different templates as well. So that is on the administration view. You can define that, okay, you can do install or update using this particular install update. So you can configure automatic updates as well to the HANA database. Then you have the life cycle management. Okay, in life cycle management you can maintain your versioning and all. Okay, next thing is on the modeler. Okay, in modeler you can create different settings like data preview, how much data to be, how many rows to be retrieved at any point of time. You can define, okay, the logs, that is where to store these particular logs, how many logs to be shown. And then next is on the debug. Okay, so this is basically, it will show that during the debug on the console, if there is an error, how it should be shown, how many rows should be shown. So these are the things which can be defined in the preference window. Okay, so next thing is on configure import server. So this particular tab is basically for connecting this with data services. Okay, so data services is another aspect in SAP where you can define batch loads, that is at a periodic time you are loading the data into HANA database using data services. Okay, next thing is delivery units. You can define delivery units, and so this is where you can move the packages from one location to another location. Then you have the schema mapping. Okay, you can map the schema, that is what is the authoring schema and what is its mapping to the physical schema. Okay, on the extreme right side you can see these are the different things can be performed from here. Okay, you can validate the different objects, activate the objects, you can do export, import, migrate, and you can do automatic documentation as well. That is, suppose if you have created a model, you can click on auto documentation, it will create an automatic model for that particular object which is selected. Okay, say you can select an object like an attribute view, or you can select any of the table in the attribute view or any of the attribute view. So that is on the modular perspective. So let me go to the other perspectives quickly. So if you click on open perspective and click on other, it will show you all the different perspective available. So debug, as we discussed, is basically where the debug and runtime characteristics are defined. Then we have a resource perspective, team synchronization perspective. Okay, so when we are running any particular program, or when we are running or creating any model, then you can see this is the window where you have the different properties which is defined. Okay, so these are the different properties. Then the job logs, if suppose we are running a batch job, so all the job logs are defined here. Then this is the history tab, you can see where the history of the commands which is executed is shown here. Then progress is suppose how the particular activity is progressing. Okay, then we have a search option as well, where you can, on the extreme left side, this window where used list, so this is where we can do a search as well. Okay, so that's all in the overview that I wanted to cover. So here we can see different things that can be performed on the perspective. Okay, next thing is what I'll be covering uh, is on the different systems which is connected. So on the left navigator we can create different systems. If you right click, you can connect different HANA systems to the HANA Studio, and we can start managing those database using HANA Studio. That's all. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining and have a nice day. Bye bye. Hello everyone. Let's get started with this particular training session which is on HANA modeling overview. Okay, let me connect to the HANA system right now. Okay, so let me connect to the system. Okay, we are in the HANA Studio right now, so let me connect to the HANA Studio. Okay, this is an app that is used to connect to SAP HANA database. So we are in the modular perspective. This is the modular perspective through which we create the different models, we create the packages, we create the data provisioning, and we build the models, we do the deployment, we do the data preview. So these are the four different features which are available in HANA Modeler. Okay, so the moment we connect to HANA Studio, we get into a quick launch page. Okay, in this particular quick launch pad, you can see this is where the different features, the new features which are there, like how to create a package, how to create an attribute view, how to create a analytic view, how to create a calculation view. Okay, then how to create an analytic privilege, how to create the procedures. Okay, if you scroll down, you can see the setup, that is how we can do the different setups. That is, say for example, if you want to manage the preferences, how you can manage your preferences, how you can configure your import server, how you can define the delivery units, how you can create the schema mapping. So most of it is used in the data services. Okay, then here this is basically a data preview. Here you can generate time dependency data, you can do a data provisioning. So this is most of it is using SLT. Okay, at the top on the right side you can see you can activate, you can redeploy it, you can do a mass copy, do export, import, migrate, and auto documentation as well. Okay, so these are the different things which is available in the quick launch view, which will help to do the modeling in a easier way. Okay, so on the left side here you can see the different HANA systems which are connected. You can connect to multiple HANA systems if you want. Okay, depending on how many systems you have in your landscape, you can connect all your systems to the landscape and can manage it from here. So let me expand this particular HANA systems. Here you can see there are two different things. One is the catalog, another is the content. In the catalog you can see the different database objects. So these are the database objects which are there in the catalog. Okay, in the content you will find the different packages which is created. Okay, so in the catalog you will see the different authorization object like users, roles, you have public synonyms. Okay, then you have the different users which are created, then some of the key users like sys underscore bi, sys underscore bic, sys underscore wrapper, sys underscore statistics. So these are the different key schemas which is present here. Okay, schema is basically a entire different component where you can group all your database objects in one compartment. Okay, then in the content you have different packages created, and within the packages you have different type of views, like you have things like you have attribute view, you have analytic view, you have calculation view, you have analytic privilege. So these are the things which can be created within the package. Okay, so we just saw what are the different things available in the information perspective. So this view that we are seeing is the information perspective. Okay, so let's see the synchronization using SLT controller. So how you can use the SLT controller, what is basically an SLT controller. So let me click on the data provisioning tab here. Okay, on the data provisioning tab here you can see the source system which is sending the data to SAP HANA. Here you can see which schema, which system is connected to this particular HANA database. Okay, at the bottom you can see which are the schemas which is getting replicated. In the schema, which table is getting replicated, what is the status of this particular replication, when this replication started, and if you want to load a particular table, if you want to replicate a particular table, you want to suspend the replication, you can stop the replication, you can resume the replication from this interface. If you click on load, okay, on clicking the load, what you will see is you will see the list of the tables. Okay, these are the tables which are there in this particular schema. So you can select which tables you want to replicate. Say for example, the tables which are not getting replicated, you can just select them, click on add, and you can start the replication. Okay, in this case I have already replicated these tables, so I won't do that again. So basically this is the interface where you can define all these things. Okay, so let's get into the next thing is basically what else you can do using this particular tool is you can define a new replication. You can select the system over here, that is what is the source system you want to do. So here you can select your source system. You can see that this is the different source system where you are replicating the data. Okay, you can change your source system from here. This is basically a central tool from which you can manage your replication. Okay, there is a filter over here. You can select which table you want to see. Okay, say for example I want to see VBAC table. Okay, it shows the status of that particular table for the replication. So that's all in the this particular replication scenarios. Okay, now let's focus on building the models. So there are three different types of models which are available, that is attribute view. So let me go to the attribute view. Here you can see this is the attribute view that we have. Okay, in this particular attribute view there are different attribute views that we have created. Okay, so how to create an attribute view? What is an attribute view? Basically, they are the master data models or the dimension tables in the legacy BW that you might have seen. So these are basically the master data views. Okay, so next is, let's go to the analytic view. Analytic views are the fact tables and the dimension tables. So let me click on this particular analytic view. Okay, here you can see there are different columns which are connected. This is the data foundation view where you can see all the tables that is part of this particular analytic view, and in the logical view you can see how this data foundation is connected to the dimension tables. Okay, then in the next tab here is the calculation view where you can see how do you create a calculation view. What is a calculation view? Basically you can do your complex calculations defined over here. Okay, so that is on the calculation view. Then is on the analytic privilege. You can define the analytic privilege. Basically these are the privilege which controls access to the analytic views. Okay, so let's get into the details of creating an analytic. To start with, we'll get into the attribute view. So let me create an attribute view, or let me show you an attribute view. So let's close all this stuff that we have opened right now. Here you can see these are the two attribute views that I have created. So one is the material and another is G act underscore info. Okay, in this you can see there are two tables, and you can see this is table sk1 and this is skt. Okay, so here you can see there is a join created between the these two columns over here. Okay, and here it's a pretty simple attribute view where there is just two joins which is created and rest all are attribute view. You can have a calculated attributes, you can have an hierarchical attributes over here. Okay, so that's what is a sneak preview on attribute view. Okay, let's get into the analytic view. Let's select any one of the analytic views. Say let me select this sales demo as the analytic view. Okay, in the analytic view here you'll see two tabs. One is the data foundation tab where you have your fact table which is created. Okay, you have selected the fact table. These are the fields of the fact tables. Okay, and here you can see this is the primary key. Okay, here these are the attributes that is you are seeing in the output. Okay, here you can see VBELN, then you have NAM. Okay, then on the logical view you will see all the dimension tables which is attached to this table. Okay, so here you have, this is the logical view. Here you can have all the dimension tables as well. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. So these are the two views that is there. Here you can see data foundation view, the logical view in this particular attribute analytic view. Then let's see here, this is another analytic view. This is your data foundation. Okay, then let's see this particular analytic view. Okay, here you can see this is the data foundation view. Okay, here these are the two tables which is there, and in the logical view what I wanted to show you is the different dimension tables. So here you can see these are the other dimension tables to which this particular fact table, the data foundation, is attached. Okay, you have the joins created. You can have different types of joins. You can have say inner joint or outer joint. Okay, say for example if I double click on this particular join, it will show you what type of join it is. Okay, the features of the join. Okay, here you can see this is a left outer joint. Okay, and these are the left side and the right side attributes, and this is showing the progress or history of the this particular analytic view creation. Okay, so basically this is like your fact view and the dimension views. So that is all in the attribute view. Then for the complicated things you can create a calculation view. In the calculation view, say for example if I want to create a new calculation view, Okay, so before that, let me close all these different views that we had selected. Okay, I don't want to save anything at this moment. Okay, so let me close them. Okay, now let me create an analytic view. So before that, let me show you this particular analytic view that is here. Okay, here you can see that on the left side of the canvas, what you can see is, so on the left side you have the scenario which is created. On the right side you can see this is the canvas on which you can select what you want to see in your output, what are the calculation, what are the measures you want to add in your output window. And at the top you can see whether you want to create a union or join or projection or aggregate. So these are the things which can be used to create a scenario. Okay, now in this particular case I have used this attribute view g sales underscore demo. So g sales underscore demo, so using this I have selected this particular table, just drag this table over here, and here I am doing an aggregate. So let me see this. So this is the table that we have selected. Okay, and okay, this is the table. Then let's click on the aggregate. So we have done the aggregate on these values. Then the output, so in the output I want to see only these things, so I have just selected these things in the output and created a join. Okay, so this is what is there already. So let me create a sample calculation view just to show you guys how the calculation view looks like. So basically this is a sample calculation view. Okay, so I've just selected the same name, and there are two different types of calculation view: graphical view or an SQL script view. Graphical views is basically for the simple calculation views, but you can select a SQL script as well. SQL script is basically you want to do some complex calculation views, you can go for the SQL scripting. Okay, then schema, I want to use this particular schema. So let me go to the next tab. Here you can see that you can select from the catalog, the objects can be selected. Basically you can select the tables from here. Okay, then you can select the packages, or you can select the different attribute or analytic views out of it, and you can just click on finish. Okay, so this is one way of creating it. So in this case, say for example I don't want to select anything, I'll just click on finish. Okay, here you can see this is an output window. Okay, in this, here you can see union, join, projection, aggregate. So these are the different tools palette which is there, so you can create scenarios based on this. Okay, now what I want is I want to create, okay, here I don't want to create this projection at this moment. Okay, so let me cancel this. Okay, so I want to drag this particular attribute, this view I have dragged, that is sales underscore demo, and what I am going to do is I want to create a union, or say for example I want to create, let's create an aggregate. Okay, now I have selected an aggregate. Let me join this particular aggregate. Okay, so I have joined this aggregate. So let's see what are the fields we require from this aggregate, say as an aggregate column. So let me add these columns as the aggregate columns. Okay, so something, if I want to add it in the output column, I can add it there. Okay, then I can select join this attribute to the output column. Okay, and in the output I am looking for only these things. Okay, so let's select this as an attribute, this as a measure, this as a attribute, and this as a measure. Okay, so that's how I have created this particular calculation view. Okay, so this is where you can calculate your calculation view. And let's go to the next topic, that is creation of analytic privilege. So I can save this particular view, I can validate the view and then activate this particular view. Okay, so let's validate this particular calculation view. Okay, validation is successful. Let's activate this particular view. It's telling me to deploy it. Okay, so I have redeployed this. The information calculation view has been successfully deployed. Okay, now let's do a data preview. Okay, so let me go to this particular calculation view. Okay, and we will see the data preview there. So let me click on the data preview. Here you can see on the data preview tab, these are the different, this is the output of the query that we just did, that is calculation view. Okay, on the distinct values you can see that these are the different distinct values that is there. Okay, here you can see the simple charts being displayed there. And if you want to do an analysis, here you can see that you can do an analysis, say for example on the label side this, and on the value side you have this particular figures. Okay, so the analysis can be done as well. Okay, and this analysis you can see it in different formats, say for example in pie chart, in line chart, in this particular graph format, in other graph format, say in grid format, or in the HTML report format, in chart format. Okay, so different chart formats like line chart and other charts can be displayed as well. Okay, so that is on the calculation view that I wanted to talk about. Let's go to the analytic privilege. Okay, in the analytic privilege what we do is we define the controls, basically on the controls on the calculation view or the analytic view. Okay, so we define the controls there. Once the controls are defined, say for example here, let's say, let me try to show you the creation of an analytic privilege. Okay, let's create one analytic privilege. Say let's create a sample one. Okay, let me select next. Okay, sample, it's already exists, so let me name it as sample one. Okay, let's select next. Okay, here we can select the information models that we want. Okay, so I'm interested in putting the controls on this particular sales test table, so let me select this particular analytic privilege. Okay, so this is what I want to select, and if I want to put a filter on this, say I can select the filter on a particular field there. Okay, so the filter can be set on the field, and say for example if I want to add this particular thing, so that I can query the filter on that particular thing, and if I want to put further restriction, that can be set as well, that is what is the value that I am interested in. Okay, so here we can say less than or equal to or in between or greater than. So any filter can be, these are the different filters that can be defined to put the restraint constraint on. Okay, so that is on the analytic view creation in this. Okay, so basically these are the things that I wanted to cover in this particular training video. Thanks everyone, thanks for joining, and have a nice day. Bye bye. Hello everyone, let's get started with the next topic for this tutorial, which is BI Explorer. So let's log into the BI Explorer with the username as administrator and password as welcome123. Okay, so let me log into the Explorer. Okay, I am connected to the BI, and in the BI under my application, here you can see different applications which is there. This is the Explorer that we'll be focusing mainly on, and here you can see this is Web Intelligence. These are the other products of BI portfolio. So let me run through them in brief. Okay, this is the BI workspace. Here it is Crystal Report for Enterprise. This is Analysis Edition for OLAP. This is Module. Let me go up, and this is Bex Web Applications. So let's connect to the Explorer straight away. Okay, I am opening the Explorer right now. Okay, in the Explorer, the agenda for today is we will be creating an information space, and we will be defining the measures and the facets within the information space, and we'll index them so that it is easier to search within the information space that we have created. So that is the objective for today's lesson. The main thing that we will do is all this we will be performing in a universe. So the first step is creation of a universe that we just saw in the information design tool, that how to create a universe. So once the universe is created, what we can do is we can use that particular universe. We can build the information space on top of the universe that is created. Okay, so let's get started. Here I am in this particular home page where you can see there are multiple information spaces which is available. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll click on the manage spaces, and we will go to the home page where we'll be creating the information space from a universe. So to create that, we will click on the universe. Okay, so once it is clicked on the universe, you will see multiple universes which are available there. So what I'm going to do is I'll create a universe on information space on this particular universe. So let me click on new. New is basically for creating a new universe on the new information space on the universe. So I'll click on new. I will name this as sample universe for say Raj. Okay, so just I will give some description, which is testing of information space creation. Okay, in the keyword I will just give some keyword which is say test, and this I want to create in a folder. I'll create it in a public folder. Okay, so it's giving message I cannot create it in a public folder. So basically here you can, depending on the permission that you have, you can create it in a particular folder. Okay, so this is the different fields. Here you can select the regional language. Here you can define if you want to use the end user setting or not. Okay, let's go to the objects tab. In the objects tab, here you can see the universe that we will be working on. Okay, these are the different fields you can see within the universe. Okay, in BI Explorer terminology we call the fields as facets. So I will select the facets, basically the sales org, the sales office, the business area, the distribution channel. So these are the facets that I will select. Okay, apart from that I will select the division, the sales group, cost center, customer. Okay, these are the other facets that I am selecting. Okay, in the measures we have one measure which is occurrence. Okay, so here we can go to these particular measures and facets, and if we want we can rename them whichever we want. Okay, distribution channel we can rename them. Say if we rename this here, so this is the way to rename it. Okay, if I just click here, you can see this is renamed sales org. Okay, so then you have sales office. Okay, dimension also you can specify whether you want what dimension you want for that. Sorting you can specify, you want to sort it from A to Z, Z to A, smallest to largest, largest to smaller based on the occurrence. Okay, so you can sort it based on that. Okay, so the next thing is these are the different other facets. So probably say customer, or you can select it based on the customer names. Okay, so I'll just click on OK. Before that, let me show you the other two tabs, which is scheduling. Here, if you are scheduling on the periodic basis, you can select periodically and define the frequency. If you want to do it once, you can select this, and if you don't want to schedule it, just run it, you can select as none. Here you can do some personalization over here. Okay, so let's go to the objects. We have defined this. Let's click on OK. So what it is doing is it is creating the information space for you. Okay, next step in this is we want to index this space so that you can perform a search on this particular information space that is created. So now what is happening is it is trying to create an index. Basically it is indexing this particular information space. So once the space is indexed, it will show you the status as green. So once the status is green, what you can do is you can go to the home page and you should see, just refresh it, refresh the list, and here you can see the information space that you have created. Okay, so it will be visible over here and you can perform the search on that particular information space. Thanks everyone, thanks for joining. This was the objective for this particular tutorial. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Hi, good morning everyone. Let's get started with the next topic. Next topic, we will be focusing on Business Objects Explorer. So we have seen part 1 where I have shown you how to create an information space. In this tutorial, we'll be focusing on seeing the reports out of information space, that is the output of the information space. Say for example, if a business user is doing some demo and he wants to see his performance statistics, he wants to see his analysis by year, by grouping, by city, by year. Okay, so let's go to the information space that we have created. Okay, so this is the information space that we had created. We had selected our measures and our facets. So here you can see these are the measures and the facets. So you have distribution channel, sales org, sales office, business area, division, sales group, cost center, and customer. Okay, so now let's go to that information space. Let's go to the home page where we will see the information space that we had created. This is sample universe. Okay, now if we click on this, okay, let's double click on this, and here you can see we have measures, we have channel, sales org, sales office, business area, division. Say for example, if you want to see the output only for distribution channel, say 10, just double click on this and it will show you only for this particular channel. Okay, so if you want to see for a particular sales office, say for example I am interested in seeing only for sales office, say 1000, just double click on that, and at runtime you can see this is the channel 10, sales office 100, and at the bottom you will see the graph being created. Okay, so at runtime you can modify these graphs. Say for example, if you don't want to filter on this one, so at runtime it will be changed accordingly. Okay, so if you don't want to filter on this, so it will be modified at runtime. You can see the graph getting populated at runtime, getting the data straight away from the HANA system, and it's basically everything is real time in this particular case. Say for example, if I am interested in say division 00, I'll just select only division 00, and here you can see this particular graph is modified at runtime just to show these features only for division 00. Okay, say for example I don't, I'll cancel this one and I want to see how this office say 1000 is performing. So I'll just click on 1000 and it will give me the different statistics for office 1000. Okay, so let me cancel this and say for example I am interested in seeing, say for example for a particular sales organization, say how a particular sales organization is performing. Just click on that and here you can see how that particular sales org is performing. Okay, so these things can be created at runtime, these things can be changed at runtime, and what happens is that given the speed of HANA, it is picking up the data directly from the HANA database in real time. So the information space that we have created at runtime, we can modify, we can filter on a particular thing, and the data is fetched directly from the database. Say for example, if you have millions of record, also it will fetch the data within milliseconds or seconds, depending on the amount of memory you have in your HANA system and depending on the size of data you have. Okay, so that's all I wanted to cover in this particular topic. Thanks everyone, thanks for joining, and have a nice day. Bye bye. Hi everyone, thanks for taking up this particular course. Basically, the main objective of this course was to apprise you with the key features which is available in SAP HANA. Given that this is one of the most upcoming, most promising technology that is coming up, and given that this is a great innovation with most of the database residing in memory, and given you are getting the right performance similar to what you get in memory instead of reading it from the hard disk. So the main objective of this course is basically to give you high level overview of different components in SAP HANA so that you are better prepared to understand the deeper level components which we have created a course for. Basically, in case if you want to go to that particular course, you can type this URL as udemy.com/sap-hana, which will give you in-depth knowledge about all the components, including what is not listed here, including the demos, including the visual, the concepts, and in-depth analysis of different features which is rolled out in SAP HANA. Okay, so that is the main objective, and with this I will close this, and for deeper level insight please go to this course, that is udemy.com/sap-hana. Thank you, bye bye.